Okay, today in IM2 we're going to talk about special right triangles. So what we're going to start with is the 45-45 90-degree triangle theorem, and that is that in a 45-45 90-degree triangle, the hypotenuse is the square root of 2 times as long as each leg. So this is the picture that you want to have seared into your brain. The side lengths, the leg lengths, are x. And then the hypotenuse is x times the square root of 2. So that's the easiest one to remember. Remember that whenever you have a 90-degree angle and matching base angles that are the same, then it's always a 45-45 90-degree angle. Okay, so now we're going to solve some basic triangles. So the first thing you want to remember is the rule. And we know that the side lengths are the same. And the hypotenuse is the one across from the 90 degrees. So that tells us that this one is 8. And then the rule is 8 square root of 2. So that's all you had to do for that one. Okay, over here, you're given the hypotenuse length. And the easiest way to do it is say, I know that x square root of 2 equals the hypotenuse length. And then we just divide both sides by the square root of 2. And so x equals 5. Okay? Okay, when you're doing these kind of problems, some of them are very basic and it seems kind of simple. The key is not to get lulled by the simplicity of some of them and make the mistakes on the other ones that are more complicated. So I know that this is the hypotenuse. That makes my legs, I look at the 45 first, make sure that I understand it's a 45-45. That means the sides are the same lengths, base angle theorem, okay? So that takes care of that. And then we know that the hypotenuse is whatever the side is, square root of 2. So x equals 10 square root of 2. Okay, that's a S there. All right, now this one is the kind that you might get confused on. This is your hypotenuse. My side is x. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say my hypotenuse should be x square root of 2. And now I know that it equals 12. So what I have to do is get x alone. So I'm going to divide by square root of 2. And I get x equals 12 over the square root of 2. Now, you cannot leave it like this because it has a radical in the denominator. So we have to rationalize it by using the giant 1. And we get 12 square root of 2 over 2, which simplifies to x equals 6 square root of 2. And there is your answer. Okay, so make sure that you understand all the steps you have to do in order to get the answer on that kind of a problem. Okay, the second kind of special triangle is the 30, 60, 90 degree triangle. In the 30, 60, 90, our shortest side is x. The longest side is x square root, the longest leg or side is x square root of 3, and the hypotenuse is 2x. Okay, so that is the scenario you have to remember. One thing that helped me remember which one to use the square root of 2 and which one to square root of 3, if you think about a 45-45 90, there are two different angle measures, 45 and 90, and that one is x square root of 2. So this one has the x square root of 3 because there are three different angle measures, 30, 60, and 90. Now the key is to remember that the hypotenuse is the one that's twice as long and that the leg is the one that has the square root. So those are all the different things you have to remember when working with these. Okay, so we want to find the side lengths in a 30, 60, 90. So I always draw myself a picture just to remind myself what I'm looking for. So there's my 30, there's my 60, this is my short side, this is my hypotenuse, and this side would be x square root of 3. Okay, so I just put those down so I don't forget what I'm doing. So what I notice here is they gave me the long side. Okay, it's the side opposite the 60-degree angle. So now I'm going to go, okay, so 9 is supposed to equal x square root of 3. So I'm going to divide both sides by the square root of 3, and I get x equals 9 square root of 3. But just like we remembered in the last problem, we have to rationalize that because we can't leave a square root on the bottom. So that becomes 9 square root of 3 over 3, which means x equals 3 square root of 3. Okay, so there's x. Now y, remember, is twice as much as x. So I would just go 2 times 3 square root of 3, and y equals 6 square root of 3. And I'm done. Okay, so now we're going to do another one. This is giving us the hypotenuse, and we know that the hypotenuse is 2x, which is 2 times the short leg, right? So this time y is the short leg, so y equals half of the hypotenuse, so y equals 11, which means x is 11 square root of 3. Okay? All right, now we're going to figure out this one. Again, they're giving us the long leg, so we're going to say 8 equals, or a, we're going to put an a there, a square root of 3. Then we're going to divide both sides by the square root of 3. We get a equals 8 square root of 3. Now we're going to rationalize the square root, the denominator. We get 8 square root of 3 over 3. And I'm just going to leave it like that. So a is 8 square root of 3 over 3. And then all I have to do to get c is multiply it by 2. So I get 16 square root of 3 over 3. And you can just leave it in that form for me. You don't have to make it into a decimal or anything else. Then we are done. Okay? Okay, so in this problem we have a real-world problem. We have a road sign that is shaped like an equilateral triangle. That information gives us some facts that we need to know. So we know that this is a 60-degree angle, this is a 60-degree angle, and this is also a 60-degree angle. So you might be asking yourself, well, how does that help us? We've only learned about right angles. But we're going to estimate the area of the sign by finding the area of the equilateral triangle. So we know that to find the area, we need the base, which is 36, and we also need the height. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to find the height of this triangle. So how do we do that? Well, we cut the triangle in half, and we create this triangle here, which now is a 30, 60, 90 degree angle on each side, and that line down the middle is the height. So we're going to use the information that we have. Notice they've already put that both the sides are equal. We already knew that. It was equilateral. We're going to use the formula that we know and think of this as x. So this would be 2x. That works. And then this would be x square root of 3. So we're going to take the height equals 18 square root of 3. Okay, so now we're going to say the area equals 1/2, go back to your original base, times the height. And that gives us 18 times 18 square root of 3, or 324 times the square root of 3. Now we're trying to find the area of an actual object, so we're not going to leave the square root there. We're going to estimate it. It's approximately 1.73, sorry. And we're going to multiply that by 324, and we get 561.18 inches squared. And it depends on how much they want you to round it to. I think the answer in the book is 561, but this is good enough. Okay, so that's the area for this triangle. Okay, in these two problems, they ask you to sketch a figure, and I think sketching is always a good idea because it helps you kind of see where you're going with the problem. So for this first one, it says the length of a diagonal is a square. In a square is 32 inches. So there's my square with my diagonal. Now, the first thing I want to remember is that a square has all 90-degree angles. And the diagonals of a square bisect those angles. So that means this is 45 and this is 45. So now I know I have a 45 degree angle. The 32 is the hypotenuse, and we know that the hypotenuse is, we're going to call our side x, is x square root of 2. So I'm going to set this up so that I can solve for my x. So I say 32 equals x square root of 2. I'm going to divide both sides by square root of 2, and I get x equals 32 over the square root of 2. However, I have to rationalize that, so I get the square root of 2 over the square root of 2, and I get x equals 32 square root of 2 over square root of 2 times square root of 2 is 2. I'm going to simplify, and so my side is 16 square root of 2. Now we know in order to find the perimeter, we just have to multiply that by 4. So you have a choice. Once you multiply it by 4, you could leave it in this form, 64 square root of 2, or you could find the square root of 2 and multiply that by 64 to get this answer. Remember that this is the exact answer. This is the estimated answer. Okay, since they did tell you in the directions to solve to the nearest tenth, then they wanted you to give them the estimated answer. Okay, so our next problem has an isosceles triangle with 30 degree base angles and an altitude of 3 meters. So there we go. They want us to find the length of the base. So we have this height, cutting it in half and giving us our, this is our base that we're looking for, right? The whole base. So we need to remember when we're looking at this that we're looking at half of the triangle, okay? So we're going to cut this. This is our base. This becomes our 60 degree angle. So this would be 2 times the square root of 3. That's the hypotenuse. And this one would be square root of 3 times the square root of 3. Because that's, remember, a 30, 60, 90 has the short side is x, the hypotenuse is 2x, and the long leg is x square root of 3. Since x in this case is square root of 3, we just multiply it. So that means that this side of the base is 3. But remember, we're looking for the whole length of the base, so we're going to take 3 plus 3, and now we know that the final answer is 6. Okay? All right. Okay, so we want to find the area of DEF, and we're going to round the decimals to the nearest tenth. So we got a couple of hints here. So the first thing I have is I know that this is the short side, right? And this is the long side. Since this is the long side and it equals x square root of 3, then I know that this side is just 7, which means this side is 14. So now I've got these two sides. This is 28, but I still have to find more information. So I think this is a mid-segment. This is a 90 degree angle. So this tells me, since these are congruent, that these are parallel. This is the mid-segment, so that means this is probably the mid-segment. So this side equals 14 square root of 3. This is also our height. We need to find our base. Okay, so now we're going to use that 30. This is also 60. We're going to use those rules again. So this side is 14 square root of 3. That makes our base 14. So now we're going to go area equals 1/2 of our base times our height. Okay, so that's 7. Okay, so 7, 98, square root of 3, 7 times 14, or yeah, 7 times 14 is 98, 98 square root of 3, and then they want us to round it to the nearest tenth, so we calculate the square root of 3, multiply it by 98, and we get 169.7 meters squared. Okay, so we found out that this was the mid-segment, and that saved us a lot of time. There you go. Okay. All right. So here is your exit ticket. you're going to be solving for, the measures are in the red, you're going to be solving for 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So remember your rules and good luck with that.